and welcome to this Mother's Day special episode of Sustainability Simplified. This episode is special, and I don't use that word lightly because never in my life had I imagined that I will actually hit the 35th episode mark. Apart from the fact that this is the very first time that I'm hosting a super mom as a guest on my podcast. I'm your host, Zitin, and today we're going to get into conversation with the ultra inspiration sustainable mom, Sonika Bhasin. Welcome, Sonika. It's wonderful to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you, and thanks for accepting the invite and coming on this show. So, are you ready? Shall we dive in?
Yes, let's dive in.
Awesome. So, Sonika, just start by sharing a little bit about when and how did the journey of sustainability start in your life? Was it before you became a mom? Was it after you became a mom? What was the motivational factor, and so on and so forth for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, so for me, it was after I became a mom. And before that, I honestly used to think I was a conscious person. And I think my consciousness was that I would not accept a plastic bag or a plastic straw. But I think it ended there. I don't think I was aware. And even if I was aware, I don't think I was really bothered, or I did not think about it. So what I've realized is that, a lot of people are not doing something just because it's not something that they think about on a day to day basis. It's just, it doesn't even cross your mind. And once you do, then you realize what's happening. And then half the things are just logic, but you had not even thought about that earlier. So when my son was born, I was a regular new parent who was going crazy buying things. Okay. And in my
Okay.
craziness of buying things, because it's your first baby, you don't know anything. I was asking all my friends, tell me everything that I need to have. And very honestly, all my friends told me, babies don't need much. So you really don't have to buy too many things. But I was like looking at lists of what all I should have, and everything should be ready and all of that. And I accidentally bought a cloth diaper. Okay. And the only reason I bought the cloth diaper was because it was cute looking. So it was a very frivolous reason. But when I bought it, I didn't know what to do with it. So I started doing some research, and it led me to, I think that's what just opened up my eyes, because it led me to what is wrong with disposable diapers, what is the whole waste crisis, and a lot of these things. And I was on maternity leave, so I was like, I need to know about it, so I really got into it. I was part of a couple of Facebook groups. There's a Facebook group called Zero Waste India, so I was a part of that group. So I started asking there. I was part of a cloth diapering group. Started asking a lot of questions over there, and I realized that all these things are really bad for the environment. And I think that was kind of the starting point. So we decided that we are not going to use disposable diapers at all. So though it's not the easiest step to start, but that was the first step that we took. And I have to tell you that I got a lot of people were recommending a biodegradable detergent, and till that time, I had no idea that detergents could also not be biodegradable. Like, it just blew my mind, because in my head, if something was dissolving in water, meant that, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I
Hmm.
didn't even know that. Right. So I came from like not knowing anything at all. And then slowly we started moving. So we decided, okay, no disposables. So that was our first step. We were like, okay, no wet wipes, no disposable diapers. Let's move to a biodegradable detergent. Then I discovered bioenzymes. So, that's how it kind of started in our lives. And then, yeah, then we just kept doing more and more research and started making a lot of these changes gradually. It didn't happen at once, obviously. It just happened gradually over a period of time.
Absolutely. Of course, Rome is not built in a day, so it all takes, time. But thank you so
Sorry, and
much
I
for
just wanted
sharing
to
that.
add over there. I think as a parent, what happens is that, once you realize all these things, I felt guilty that I brought a new life into this world, which is, going the way it is. And then I thought that if I can't, I need to do something for my child's future. So I think that is the motivation that as a parent, if I can't give him a safe environment, then what good is anything else that I'm doing for him? And that is really what keeps me motivated every single day. This is for my son's future.
Absolutely, very well put. I think that that really encompasses the essence of why you transitioned after you became a mom. So thanks so much for sharing that. Thanks, thanks. Great. So, moving on to the next question now, I do know a lot of my friends actually are new moms, and I think they, of course, but apart from them, a lot of listeners and viewers would find it helpful if you can also share some quick things. I know you dropped a few words in the last response, but if you can share a quick, few things about what you can recall, maybe from what you practiced in Abir's younger days.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, 1 week cloth diapered exclusively, whether it was going for trips. We went for a lot of trips. And I was like, we will not buy a disposable diaper, come what may. So we did a 10-day trip to Singapore,
Yeah.
Malaysia, I remember. And our one small mini suitcase only had cloth diapers. And we did it. And we realized that, it's exactly the same thing. People think that it's difficult, but all I'm doing is instead of throwing it in the bin, I'm putting it in a bag. That's the only difference. It can be done. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. So I think as parents of young kids, I would just say don't go overboard buying things for your kid, because kids actually, like all my friends had told me, kids don't need too much. So just buy what you actually need to. Try and see if you can get secondhand or if you can get pre-loved things, which was also something that I did because I had a lot of friends who had kids. I just got everything from, his clothes to his baby carrier to a cot. Everything was a hand me down. And so we didn't have to buy all those kind of things because kids outgrow stuff so quickly.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
even now, he's 4, and I think 90% of his clothes are pre loved. His shoes are all pre loved.
Amazing.
His toys, books, most of the stuff is pre loved, because as parents, we really do tend to go overboard buying things for our kids. So I think that is one. The other thing is that avoid using disposable, whether it's, even wet wipes and like cotton balls and all these things, disposable diapers, actually not good for the baby because they are really full of nasty chemicals. And we don't know that and we don't think about that, but they are not just, not only do they create waste, but they are also really not good for your baby. So these are a couple of things that one can just keep in mind when they have a kid, and I think that's a big step in itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing those quick tips. I'm sure a lot of people here listening to this episode and watching it will definitely find it helpful. So that was fantastic. Shifting gears a little bit, I was just curious to know, like, in your journey of practicing sustainable living, past few years, just curious to understand, like, when you talk to other moms, you talk to other parents, what have been some of their, concerns around maybe starting or ramping up a sustainable, living journey? And I specifically ask this because you're quite vocal on socials. And for all those who are watching and listening to this episode, guys, please do check Sonika's Instagram page. She talks a lot about sustainable living for moms and otherwise. I will put the link in the caption below as well. But Sonika, would you like to share a little bit about some of those concerns, maybe?
The biggest concern that people usually have is that all this is too time consuming and it's too difficult, and I have no time for all of this, especially young parents, because of course, kids are a handful.
Yeah,
But I'm just here to tell everybody, and I keep talking about this a lot, even on Instagram, that it is not time consuming. It is not difficult.
yeah,
It's just like, you pick up, let's say you wanted to lose weight and you picked up a new exercise regime, or, you wanted to become healthy and you picked up a new diet. It's just like that. It's just something new that you do, and in a few days or a few months, it just becomes a part of your lifestyle. And there's right now, I mean, we do a lot, and both my husband and I are working, and we have a kid. And it's not like we're spending our whole day in doing sustainable stuff. It's just a part of life.
Yeah,
It's basically how we think, you know. You just become more conscious and more aware, and that is all you really need to do. You don't need to, I tell people it's not like every morning I'm getting up and making my toothpaste and my face wash, right? It's There's nothing that is time consuming. It's just that instead of throwing things, I'm, giving them for recycling, or instead of putting things in my dustbin, I'm composting it, which takes us less than a minute a day. So these are just things that, once you start doing, you will realize that neither are they time consuming, nor are they difficult. My son has been doing all this since he was like 2.5, 3 years old. So, if a child can do it, it's not difficult to do at all. You just have to, I guess, you just have to commit to it and say, okay, I will do this, and at least start thinking about it. And don't jump into everything all at once. A lot of people do try to do that, and then they become, it's very overwhelming, because suddenly if you have to change everything, it's not even possible, and I don't think anybody should do it. I always say just pick up one thing. It could be it could be the simplest thing, that like, I will not accept a plastic bag.
yeah.
Okay, that's not a time consuming or a difficult thing. Just pick up one thing, become comfortable with it, let it become a part of your lifestyle, and then pick up something else. Even that is good enough.
Absolutely, absolutely, very well put. I like the point about being overwhelmed, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed, right? So that was a very big takeaway from that, definitely. So thanks so much for sharing that. And now I want to kind of move into the concluding part of the episode. Just a quick thought or a message, or maybe one top piece of advice that you might want to give to our viewers or listeners, maybe especially moms or parents out there who want to start their sustainable living journey.
Yeah, first, I would just want to say that as parents, I think we all need to think about this very seriously, because, I mean, what is our children's future going to be like? It's scary. To be honest, sometimes I really, it really bothers me a lot. And just by doing very simple things, if we can avoid whatever we can. Now, as individuals, we cannot go and change policy. We cannot, there are many things that we can't do. But there are many things that we can do, so why not do them? And I think one of the biggest contributions that we can make as individuals is to just reduce our waste and to reduce our consumption.
Yeah,
Overconsumption is what has led to this entire crisis. If we can just be mindful about our consumption and slowly just reduce that, I think even that, without doing anything else in our lives, if we just buy less, it can be, it can create a massive impact if a lot of people just bought less, you know so think about it. And It's not difficult to do. I think buying less is not just going to save your time and all of that, but it's going to save your money, and it's going to give you much less anxiety. So I think just consume less, be a little mindful, be a little aware, read up. There's a lot of information available to all of us. Just know what is happening, and do whatever you can. There is no step one, step two, step three, step four, right? It's whatever you think you can do, just pick that up and start doing that. And every step, I think every small step is valuable. There is nothing which is not going to make any difference. So do whatever you can, but please do think about it.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Sonika, for this. I think what's very kind of inspirational about this journey is that how your child, and thinking about his future, actually rolled back in your mind, and you're like, wait, I need to do something about this, and then you started taking those small steps, which is amazing. So thanks so much for sharing your whole journey, and I'm sure that a lot of the viewers and listeners, especially moms and aunts like me, would want to kind of ramp up or sort of start their sustainable living journey. So
No, I
thanks a
hope
lot.
so too. I really hope so too. And I just want to say that, when people keep saying, show love to the planet and do this for the planet, I've just been saying for the last few months that no, don't do it for the planet. Just do it for yourself. Do it for your child. Do it for your nieces and nephews and grandchildren and, them. planet is fine. Now, nothing is going to happen to the planet, but we need to really think about their future. And actually, it's not even so much in the future, it's already happening, right? Things are
Yeah,
really ramping up. So, forget the environment and the future. Just think about, be selfish, think about yourself, think about your kids, think about your grandkids and your nieces and nephews, and just do whatever you can for them.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's going to be actually my top takeaway from today. Yeah, this is what it is. So thanks very much for sharing, your journey, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was good fun speaking with you, and I love to talk about this topic, so I can go on and on. So,
Awesome, awesome. Great. So thanks for being here. Thanks a lot. Yeah, take care.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this podcast, feel free to share it in your network. As I said earlier, my one takeaway, my big one takeaway, of course, there were so many takeaways, but my one big takeaway from this episode was basically think about yourself, think about your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, and people around you and their future. And hopefully that will kind of motivate you to take more action on sustainable living. I would love to hear your key takeaway from today. Please do share it with me on my socials. You'll find me on at Zitin Munshi. That's at ZITINMUNSHI. Happy Mother's Day once again, and see you in the next episode.